Pirate Nation, purple and gold family, stand to your feet, put your crossbones up, and lean side to side, yeah, and lean side to side, yeah, and lean side to side, come on, yeah, welcome to the island, man, it's crazy in here, a whole sea of purple and gold waving in here, keep a plank on the shark tank, traders beware, because we got a whole bunch of rowdy sailors in here.
Welcome into the Sports Objective. I'm Dave Richmond, along with my buddy from the great state of Connecticut, Matt Semenza.
What's up, Dave? How you doing, man? Feels like it's been a long time since we've done a show.
Yeah, I'm a little sad right now because I'm a huge Elvis fan. His daughter, Lisa Marie, just passed away, age 54. You know, that's young, man. That's young. And so I'm sad, but we have a lot of happy things to talk about. But our thoughts and prayers of Priscilla and the whole family. And it's kind of a shocker. You don't expect somebody that age, you know, and that's right. I'm getting ready to be 50 in April. So she's only 4 years older than me. So that knocks, like, that really hits home, you know, about that. But
yeah, no doubt about it.
Anyway, I wanted to mention that before we, if you're watching live, then you probably already know about it. But if you're not watching live, you definitely know about it. But we talk more than sports here on the Sports Objective, and it reminds you how important life really is. And Matt, speaking of important, we wanted to do this show. We took a week off, but we wanted to do the show tonight because we've got a lot to talk about. And we're going to talk recruiting. We've got a lot of great things about fundraising with the Pirate Club. We have baseball, basketball. How about women's basketball winning 3 straight, 12-5 overall, and they're 3-1 in the conference. I got to tip my hat to. By the way, Matt, you and I are both on defense. The defense has always been there, but man, they're finally starting to get in a rhythm of shooting. The shooting has not been there, but all of a sudden, Danae McNeil, she had another career high, by the way, 28 points.
Wow.
So yesterday, it was a matinee game for the Lady Pirates. First time ever, by the way, brother. And how about the city of brotherly love? We've never beat Temple at Temple. So how about that? First time ever. So just want to give some love to the Lady Pirates. I know we're going to talk deep into football, but really proud of Kim McNeil and what she's building there with the program. And man, they had 20-some. Temple had 20-some turnovers, by the way, yesterday.
Wow.
So that doesn't get it done. But anyway,
yeah, not gonna win many games with that many turnovers. But that is great to see, and hopefully the Lady Pirates can keep it up.
Yeah, tough. We'll maybe talk later in the show. Tough night last night in Cincinnati. Pirates didn't play their best. Cincinnati was just lighting them up. They had 14 threes, by the way, 10 in the first half. Matt, it was just atrocious, like we're talking about. And the shots were there. We just didn't make it. It was just, hey, if it's not your night. My dad would say, if my dad were watching the game with me last night, he would have said, it's not our night. You know, like, instead of getting so mad, it's not our night. You could tell that we're getting creamed. We're getting crushed. And we're not being ugly to our program. We love Coach Schwartz and the players. But it was just a really tough game to watch.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think the bottom line for me watching that game was Cincinnati could have beaten anybody in the country last night, the way they shot the ball. I mean, they were just unconscious.
Yeah.
You know, as a team, you might have 2 or 3 nights like that a season where you literally can't miss. And they were on fire. And then conversely, Dave, we couldn't buy a basket last night. I mean, we just looked at a sink. Everything looked rushed. You know, all of our shots from the perimeter, you didn't get the sense that our players were setting their feet. They were rushing their shots,
right?
Just getting bad looks after bad look, and it was just an ugly game, really ugly game. You just have to try to find a way to move on from there. But wasn't fun to watch. I actually had to turn away at some point in the second half because it got really bad.
Yeah, but anyway, we're gonna keep the next game, of course, Sunday. USF at 1:00 at Williams Arena. I doubt if I can listen to me. Mitchie's Coliseum. What am I talking about? Get your tickets, ecpirates.com. You can call 1-800-DIAL-EC if you want individual game tickets. But that's Sunday at 1:00. Let's get a big crowd in there. And really happy for my son, Alexander. No, Chase, your son, doing well. Both my kids, their first game is on Saturday. So Saturday morning, if you hear somebody yelling, it's me because I want to ask you this question. We'll talk Pirate football. You as a dad, you know how great of a player you were at ECU and you played the football and you're a great linebacker. Is it you? And I was never at that level. So let me first, I'm not comparing myself to you, but
The
playing
words
sports,
"great" and me were not associated, but thank you, Dave. I appreciate
no,
it.
I remember you, and I've seen some of those hits you've shown. So that, but anyway, how to me when I was playing, even as a youngster, I had like butterflies. But
Mhm.
watching my kids play, I'm a nervous wreck. I'm a absolute. It is the best feeling to watch your kids play, but also it's so nerve wracking because you want them to score 50 points and have all
Mhm.
the tackles and all that. I don't know how you feel, but that's just the way I'm a basket case.
Oh yeah, no, I'm right with you. I get more excited to watch my kids do their thing. You know, my daughter's a dancer. I love watching her, and then my son Chase. You know, he's a basketball, baseball player. I probably get more nervous than he does watching them. I just get excited. I get fired up, and it's the best. You know, if you're a parent, there's nothing better than watching your kid play sports.
Oh yeah.
So I'm with you, man. I'm right with you. I get fired up.
All right, let's. Speaking of, that's a great segue. Speaking of being fired up, I'm fired up. I just wanted to say, give a shout out to Mike Houston and his great staff. One of the things I was talking about today earlier at work when talking about the Pirates, it doesn't matter how I feel about the current situation, about NIL, about transfer portal. This is the way the new life is of college football. Whether I like it or not like it, don't like it, but I will have to say that I think the coaches have done a nice job of not being left behind. They're doing. We were worried a couple years ago with the transfer portal. Would that hurt the Pirates? I think it's been an equalizer. I really do. I think it's a game changer. I hate that term. It's overused, but I can't think of the top. I'm too tired right now to think about a better word. But for me personally, the game changer that basically we're going to lose some guys, but yet we're getting, I think, in other words, we're getting more than we're losing, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, and it's funny. There are days where I love it, and then there are days where I absolutely hate it.
Right.
And because I'm always, and as all of us are, and admittedly, my concern is East Carolina University.
Right.
So when players transfer out or hit the portal,
Mhm.
I don't love it. But hey, when we go out and get a great player, admittedly, it's pretty awesome to see. So some days it works for you, some days it works against you. I definitely think that we've made some good additions,
Mhm.
and we've shored some things up, especially in the secondary and defensive. I think at linebacker, we've been able to do some really good things there with a number of transfers. But I don't know how the coaches in this day and age keep up with it, Dave. It just seems like every day in college football, there's more and more change, and I don't think it's sustainable.
Yep.
I really don't. I think I just don't see this being the future of college football. I think you're going to see some changes to this whole process here.
By the way, let's get some comments in real quick. If you have a question or comment, Facebook and Twitter, Facebook and YouTube tonight, go ahead and do so. Let's give up my good friend Shell Powell from the Queen City. It's a great city of Charlotte. He's got a great freshman son doing very well. What's up, Shell? We want to give you a shout out. How about Brandon? Let's say hello to Brandon. He's ready for February 1st, getting those season tickets for football. One of the things we're going to talk about tonight. So thank you, Brandon, for reminding everybody about that. And how about this? Our buddy B Pace. What's up, B Pace? Significant as taking non-qualifiers. He's talking about the transfer portal helped ECU many times equaling the playing field. I couldn't agree more. Pace. It's been a lot better than expected. And speaking of which, hey, better late than never. He always makes his entrance. Kyle from the Grange.
There he is.
I didn't even know we were doing a show, guys. I've been so out of it. What's going on, fellas?
All
What's
right,
up,
we're
Kyle?
talking about the transfer portal and how you didn't miss much. Talking about how the transfer portal has actually helped us. You actually talked about that a couple years ago when that subject matter.
Yeah. I think it can help. I think it hurts too. I think it does both. We've lost some guys to it, but we've gained a lot from it. I think we'll in the long term gain more than we'll lose. But it's a rebuild for sure. We lost a lot of guys to the league. Guys going to the league early. That's easier to swallow than going through the portal. But kind of is what it is.
Coach Houston was on the Patrick Johnson show today on 94.3 The Game, and he makes a great point. Like I've said, a few years ago, we didn't have that problem of guys going to the league or potentially going to the league. This definitely not this many. So I think it's great for the program and the fact that speaking of recruiting, guys, this is a great recruiting tool. If you come to East Carolina, we'll give you a shot, at least a cup of coffee in the NFL, if nothing else.
Yeah, you get an opportunity. What are you drinking there, Matt?
This would be a Kraken rum and like a cranberry ginger ale.
Oh, okay, that's a good combo. The cranberry ginger ale is also really good with Crown Apple.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All right. I'll have to try that. I do like the Crown Apple.
Yeah, that with the cranberry ginger ale is a winner.
I'm starting my weekend early, fellas. With it,
It's Friday Eve. It's okay. It's Friday Eve.
No doubt.
Do you work tomorrow, Matt? Do you have tomorrow off?
I work tomorrow, but I work virtually. So.
Okay. So you sort of work.
No wonder you're partying with us. No wonder you got those pirate beverages ready to rock, and we've got a lot to celebrate, guys. With and Kyle, perfect timing because we wanted to take the time tonight, talk some recruiting. We've had a lot of, again, Kyle, you and I. Hey, the world is not coming to an end. Kyle and I agree on something. I'm joking, but the fact that I think we're better off than we're losing some, but we're gaining a lot more than we probably ever would without the portal. And let's look at if you guys want to take offense, defense, wherever you want to start. You guys are the experts, so where do you want to go first to talk about the different positions?
What do you want, Kyle?
Honestly, guys, I'm a little behind on things here this week being a chemo week, so let's let Matt take it. Let's go offense.
All right, sounds good.
How about
I've
let's
been
go
following it pretty good, so I'm ready. I'm ready.
All right, put me in, coach. I'm ready to play. Let's talk O-line because that's the one that I'm worried about the most. I think you and I think all of us agree on the show. We need 2 or 3 offensive linemen and not just warm bodies. We need some solid play at the line, especially when you have Mason Garcia. How are things with the offensive line, my friend?
Well, you look at the state of our current offensive line. I think we're better on the interior than at the tackle position, definitely in terms of depth. I think that's the strength of our offensive line right now as it stands is the interior. And that's not to say we don't have some talented guys that can play tackle. I expect Parker Moore to be able to become a full-time starter, this year. I think a lot of upside with him. You look at left tackle, that's my biggest concern when I look at this offensive line. You have some unproven guys, right? You have Walt Stribling, who's a really big body, and he's had some playing time before. Can he be the starter? Maybe he can. I don't know. But I know that we've got to be able to give him some help there. And just looking at the roster, I think Jacob Sacra is a guy that with his body size, his type of frame, he can kick out and play tackle a little bit. So I'm hoping he can be that guy. But, as it stands right now, I think our biggest need on this team is addressing left tackle. Okay. I think that's the glaring weakness. And I agree. We have to find two quality starters.
Yeah,
we were able to last year get a couple of linemen out of the portal. O-linemen are always highly sought after. So it'll be interesting to see what's available to us, who we can get. Another thing I would look at strongly, because I think it's being overlooked right now by the Power 5 schools, is that's junior colleges. I think JUCOs, because of the portal, are really being overlooked now. And I think you got some guys that generally would fall to Power 5 schools that may be available to us in the junior college ranks that we might should look at.
Yeah.
And I think, another point that you made, Kyle, about the FCS level, Matt, we've gotten a good amount of, I would say, good players from the FCS that, Kyle brought up the fact that with the portal that they want to move up. And so we're getting our fair share. In other words, it's not like just any old FCS. We're getting a lot of good players, what I've noticed from the FCS guys. Have you noticed that?
Yeah. We do well. Obviously, they want to move up to the FBS, and Coach Houston has ties to those FCS schools, and he does a good job of getting guys from that level out of the portal.
Yeah,
no doubt. And I think that like I know panic has set in for a lot of people as it relates to the O-line, right? We haven't had a great recruiting class there. You look at our 2 freshman signees coming out of high school, Cameron Durant and Bryce Weaver. I like those guys, but they're a few years away. They're going to have to develop and redshirt. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's a great thing to be able to develop guys.
Yeah, Bryce Weaver is a local kid, right, from Conley. Is he from
Yes,
Conley?
exactly.
Yeah, what I saw of him, he's got a lot of upside, and I agree with you. One of the things I want to tell you guys is that I know with the transfer portal, grad transfer, JUCO, all that we live in a world in a microwave, like Pop-Tart society, if you will, microwave everything. But a guy like with Weaver, he has a lot of upside that come in and another thing that we talk about all the time is you and Bubba, I know, playing at the college level. There's nothing wrong with having to work your way into the line, the starting lineup, working your way, paying your dues for a year or two. What is wrong with that? But
you got freshman offensive linemen from high school can't expect to start right away.
Right.
You're starting freshman offensive linemen from high school unless they're elite. You got problems. So exactly. we gotta hit the portal for some O-linemen. There's no doubt about that. What are some of the other obviously receiver? I think we addressed some of that, receiver and running back, this past weekend.
Yeah, no doubt about it, guys. Like this past weekend, we were able to bring in a receiver, a Georgia Tech transfer, Ryan King, 6'3", 215 pounds. He's an interesting guy when you look at him. Highly recruited out of high school. Obviously, like Kyle, you look at the frame, 6'3", right? I mean, he's got the 215, great size, but hasn't been productive at Georgia Tech. But that doesn't mean he can't be a productive player here. Maybe the system wasn't right for him. Maybe it just wasn't the best situation. The staff obviously saw something they liked.
Quite honestly, was anybody productive on offense at Georgia Tech the last couple of years?
Very good point. I mean, really, no, honestly. So he's a guy that could help. And my favorite part of the guys coming in from high school are the wide receivers. My favorite part of this class. I really like these Nate Branch, Malik Leverett. I'm just making sure I have the names right. Zion Agnew. I think we did really well at receiver from the high school level, guys. So
I think we'll get one more receiver from the portal. I think we have to. We got Jalen Johnson coming back, and then a bunch of young guys. Kerry King, I think, has got a lot of potential.
Wide receiver, we're going to be really good.
I think we need to get one more from the portal, and then running back. Obviously, the kid we have some players coming back with Rajay and Gunn, but the kid from Georgia Southern's a legit. He's a legit talent. That was a good get.
Yes.
Yeah, I was really surprised to see the videos on him, Matt. You obviously are the film study guy, but what I saw and my naked eyes, obviously you're the film guy and the football guy. But that guy's got some serious speed. Is that me or is it? And they can make those videos where, of course, they're going to put
they're highlight videos, but you can't fake speed.
Yeah.
Hey, I love it, guys. I love it. It's a great pickup, man. Proven player, experience. There's no substitute for that. He played in a very good conference. He was productive against some really good teams.
Had 100. I think it was 142 yards rushing against Nebraska.
Yeah. I saw that too, Kyle. That's awesome. So definitely a really nice pickup. I mean, just, something you had to have because I love Rajay Harris. Sometimes people give Rajay, like they say he hasn't been that productive. Rajay, in my opinion, he's outstanding in short yardage and goal line. That's when he's at his best. Really like him there. But coming off that ACL, Kyle, he might not be 100%. Till very late in the season.
Yeah.
A lot of times you see that with ACL. So I think this is insurance, and it's a really nice pickup.
Yeah, him and Gunn should be a nice 1-2 punch if Rajay, isn't ready to go. So no, I'm with you. You had to replace Mitchell, and you can't just replace Mitchell. This guy's not keeping Mitchell, but he is a very talented player, and glad to have him. We needed him.
Yeah. A lot of upside in that room. You wonder, like, you look at it and people forget we still have Pop McKay in there. A
Yeah.
guy that showed a lot of promise. He was hurt all year, but he's somebody that I wouldn't be surprised to see him emerge. And there's definitely talent in that room.
No doubt. No, there's a lot of talent in the running back room, and I like our running back coach a whole lot too. I think he's really good.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, I mean, that's something we talked about yet. I mean, who are the candidates for our corners coach? I mean, I have heard no names.
I haven't heard names either. So sounds like it's going to be wrapped up though here, like in the next 48 hours.
Okay.
That's really all I know about it.
It's interesting. Names have emerged yet they're this close to wrapping it up. That's very interesting.
Yeah, I wonder if they're keeping it very hush hush on purpose. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why they would. You're done with recruiting for the most part. I don't know. It could be somebody. Who knows? Maybe we've got to dot some I's and cross some T's. Who knows? But yeah. I'm anxious to see who it is.
I am too, and I hope it's somebody that obviously a great coach, but somebody that's really good on the recruiting trail too, that can entice players here. But wanted to ask you, Kyle, what do you think of this? I was having this conversation with somebody about just hopping back to the O-line for a second. I think that's the hardest position to recruit to East Carolina, like O-line, and I think
D-line also.
So I have a theory on this that the further you go into the spring, right? Having the portal the way it is, we can almost squeeze these guys, and the later we go into that process, we have a chance to pick up some really good players, right? So all these players are getting scooped up right now. More will enter the portal after spring ball. Yeah, and I think that's our opportunity to bring in some really good O-linemen. Like, what do you think about that?
I see what you're saying. Right now, that everybody's in the portal hot and heavy, and after spring ball, you obviously have guys that'll decide they don't like the new coach, that they're not going to get the playing time they thought they were going to get. There's a lot of depth here at Power 5 schools, so we need to get out of here. You're probably right, particularly at the Power 5 level, guys looking to move down, so to speak, even though I hate to say that, to get a chance to play. Probably after spring ball is our best chance to get a couple guys from the transfer portal on the O-line, and we got to do it. I mean, there's you're gonna have to figure something out. We've got to beef up the O-line.
That's the key, guys. And by the way, Mike Houston being on Patrick Johnson today, he was talking about the very fact of Mason Garcia, and Mason is a lot further along than people realize. And I know we wanted more playing time for him, but you were talking about the offensive line, and that's the reason I brought Mason up. If we can have that line to be even if it's an average offensive line or slightly above average, it doesn't have to be anything spectacular. I think you're going to see Mason Garcia is going to really shine, and he's going to have his growing pains and he's going to have his mistakes, but he's not really the guy that's like a freshman quarterback where we hold our breath. He has a lot of, I know it's not game experience that we want, but he's been working at his craft, so to speak, and we're just not seeing that. Coach Houston to praise him, I think speaks volumes. And I think that a lot of the people have been really worried about Mason. But the key is the key to this whole offseason, if you will, is what we've talked about is 2 or 3 offensive linemen. If we have that to really protect him, the running game will be there. We're as far as the skill players, we're set. I feel really confident. It just comes down to me for the whole team, the offensive line. And
I don't know. I think there's more to it than that. I think we got some issues at receiver we need to address still because we lose a lot of production there. And as far as Mason, I'm sure he looks great in practice. Obviously, for Coach Houston to say he's the next starting quarterback and go ahead and put that on him, he has to be showing out in practice and looking good. But you can be a practice superstar. I mean, when you get in the game, it's different. So, yeah, I'll hold my breath until I see Mason get out there and play a few snaps. But obviously, he's going to make some mistakes. That goes without saying. But the better the offensive line, the better chance he has. There's no doubt about that.
Right. And I was going to tell you guys, and Coach Houston talked about something I wanted to talk about tonight, and that is Mason Garcia has a lot of upside, and one thing that I've been missing, and I love Holton with all my heart, so don't misunderstand me where I'm not going down that path of beating up Holton. But Mason Garcia has a cannon for an arm.
Yeah,
and
28 and 5. It's hard to beat him up.
And I think we're going to see. I think we're going to see a really beautiful deep ball, and a lot of our. That's why it sucks that we don't have Winstead another year. When we're talking about the 50-50 balls.
Well, CJ really should have came back another year with that arm that Garcia has. But yeah, the deep ball. That'll be interesting to see how much we use that as a weapon, because that was something Holton not his strength, but apparently it's Garcia's one of his strong points. So that can be a game changer if he's accurate. You can have the biggest cannon in the world, but are you accurate with the deep ball?
Right.
And if he's accurate with the deep ball, that can be a game changer.
Hey Matt, do you remember back in the day, Jeff George?
Oh my God, Jeff George, absolutely, man. He was like an incredibly high. I think he was the #1 draft pick in the NFL. Got a huge contract, never panned out. Cannon for an arm. He lasted like 16 years in the league, though.
Yeah, he was like the next coming of of God. Like he was
16 years in the league is pretty good. I don't care if he never became a superstar or not.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt about that. But like what the point that I was bringing him up is that he had a great arm, but he didn't have the accuracy that you would like for that kind of. I mean, he was like the.
Yeah.
But you think about it as a quarterback.
Gerard was incredibly accurate with the deep ball.
Yeah, one of the best arms I've ever seen, besides Aaron Rodgers, of course. But the kid who was from Vanderbilt, I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. He went to the Chicago Bears.
Don't ask me.
Jake.
I can't believe I can't.
Jake from State Farm.
Yeah,
it was a Jake, not Jake Plummer. Oh my God, I know what.
Yeah, it's driving me nuts. Somebody who's watching, chime in, please.
Please help me. Yeah.
What a cannon he had, but he never really put it all together. Anyway, though, getting back to Mason, I think you're going to see
Jake Cutler.
Thank you. Who said that? Johnny
and Shell.
Thank you, fellas, because that was going to drive me nuts. But I think you're going to see like a little different style on offense. I think we're going to see a lot more horizontal throws. We're going to incorporate more wide receiver screens, because strong arm quarterback, you can flip it wide. You have a strong arm, you can get the ball out wide. A lot of wide receiver screens, and it's just one read. Like for a young quarterback, you don't have to scan the whole field. You get the snap, you throw it wide, and then that can also set up the deep ball, because corners start to press a little bit. They start to move up because they want to make a play on the wide receiver screen, and then guess what? You can hit them deep. So I'm hoping you see a lot more of that, because Holton, if you look at Holton Ahlers this year, he was going to his second and third read as a fifth-year guy. Mason's not going to be there early in the season.
Right. I don't want to put too much on the kid, because it will be technically his second start in September. But I think that the difference is the great thing about our program too, guys, is that he had the luxury of four-star recruit. When you hear East Carolina, a guy out of South Carolina, you're thinking this guy's going to play when he's a freshman, coming in, maybe even a true freshman. But the great thing about Houston is he's had all this time with Holton, and then he has Garcia to hold the clipboard. And apparently he has done a nice job behind the scenes of academics and working on his craft, so to speak. And Houston said today that everybody the kids in the locker room are going to follow Mason. They are really on board with him, and that made me feel good. And again, I'm not saying that we're going to win 12 games or anything crazy, but I'm just simply saying that by the time September rolls around, nobody needs to be in the panic room. It's not going to be a disaster with Garcia. I don't think. I really don't.
Well, I hope not. I mean, if not, I hope we'd be bringing somebody else in.
No, that's what I'm saying is that's another cue for us. If Garcia was not getting it done, they would be hitting that portal hard. I mean, 160 guys, isn't that crazy? Did you see that? 160 quarterbacks in the transfer portal right now. 160.
Wow, that's a lot of quarterbacks. I'm a little surprised we hadn't brought one in, honestly, just as a backup, because we don't have the three quarterbacks on the roster.
I think potentially they're waiting guys. Not that Mason's going to do bad in the spring, but what guys were talking about with after spring ball, all those guys, putting themselves in the portal. Like,
Yeah.
I think they will bring in one more. You have 3 right now. I think that you want 4 is help me out, Matt, but it's usually 4 in the quarterback room. So I think they're being stingy. I think they're being cautious on just instead of getting like I'm sure there's a lot of great guys in the portal, but they're like being really, really uber, like they're focused on
judicious. That's what you're looking for.
It's a great word, judicious.
Yes, it is. Thank you, Kyle. But that's what that's what they're looking for right now, in my opinion. I think in the spring, after spring ball, just like with these other, like with O-line, with wide receiver, like we talked about on the offensive side of the ball, I think you're going to see a quarterback coming. That's just I don't know anything. That's just my gut feeling.
Well, we know that, Dave.
Well, thank you.
I'll tell you what, one thing though, I will say that I think is definitely a missed opportunity for us is not being able to get some O linemen in here right now for spring ball, because I've been saying this for years and I'll go to my grave saying it, but college players make their biggest leap learning the schemes, but also as a player, they make their biggest leap during spring football.
Correct.
It's a huge opportunity. Like people talk about bowl practices and that stuff's all great, but players make their biggest leap during spring football because that's all you have. You're not focused on games. You're focused on learning the scheme and becoming a better version of yourself. And so not having some O linemen here from the portal for spring ball hurts. So now what you got to do, you can still find them, but you got to get them in here early in summer. That's a key part of it because not many players can come in all of a sudden, just show up on campus for fall camp.
Yeah.
And start. Like the only guy I can think, I was thinking about this earlier. Lance Lewis is like the only guy I can think of that came here. He showed up on day one, like the first day of practice, and was like a freaking stud player, right out of the gate. It doesn't happen.
Right. It takes time. And also the fact when you look at this program, when we first started the show, by the way, March 1st is 5 years we've been doing the show, but when we started covering the team in 2018, that fall of 2018, they didn't even, you had a situation where it was a pro style practice, Montgomery, they're not tackling. We talked about where that was. And then in 19, Houston comes in and he had to teach the kids how to practice, So now you've got pretty much a whole group of guys that they already know the system as far as what Houston expects. And of course, there's been coaching changes, people coming and going and all that. But for the most part, we have a lot of stability with this coaching staff, with the expectations and having Big John in the weight room. There's a lot of stuff we've got a lot of positives going into 2023.
Yeah, no, there is. I mean, there's a lot of question marks. There's a lot of positives, and I think people have to be realistic. I'm not looking to set the world on fire in 2023. 6-6 to me, again, and I'll take that this year with all what we've lost. So just get us to a bowl game.
I agree with you 100%, Kyle, on with the schedule. When you look at that schedule, I can argue even after the Michigan game, I could argue 3-1, but you could flip that and be 1-3. When you look at, you have Michigan, you have the Marshall game at home, and then you go on the road to Boone. I mean, that's a tough place to play it with App. You come back home to Gardner Webb. You feel like they're not a pushover at the FCS level, but
they gave Coastal and Liberty both good ball games.
Yeah, but I will say this. I think the biggest problem with our program is that you've talked to our good friend Terry Gallagher. The problem we have is, do I think we're going to win 12 games next year? As I've said, no. But we need to feel like we need to have that swagger back that we can win every single game. Because what happened with Mo when we had him, he was always talking about 6 wins. We always won 3. Like, we're going to go bowling. We're going to go bowling.
I don't expect that the coaching staff and the team's going to say we're going to go 6-6. But I'm just talking about being realistic. You got a brand new quarterback. You lost your 2 best receivers. You lost your best running back, amongst a bunch of other talent. So, I think 6-6 is a realistic goal, but no, that should not be the team's goal. Team's goal should be to win every game.
If you set the bar high, then what I'm saying is, if you set the bar high that we can win every game, or have the expectation to win, with the program the way it is now, then that puts us at that 8, 7, 8, 9, like Pirate football. But when you say 6-6, then if that's your ceiling, then you're dropping down to 3 or 4 wins. That's my thing, is that I want this team to buy into the program, obviously, and I believe that with the conference, UTSA coming in, they're going to be very good. They've got a quarterback that's been there 100 years. We know how good their offense is. You can start, but then again, you don't have the Cincinnatis of the world. You don't have UCF.
No, you got Tulane and UTSA will be the favorites in the league.
Yep.
After that, who knows? But UTSA and Tulane will be your 2 favorites.
But I think we have a shot to be a team fighting for a championship next year. Like you said, Tulane and UTSA are the favorites, but also I think we'll be in the mix. And there's a lot of things that have to happen, but I don't think in the world we live in now. I think if it was Matt Simmons' era and we lost all that talent that we lost, I would be really worried. I would be really upset. But with the transfer portal, the way we have things now, the one thing that really sucks is that you have to learn all these players for every single year. We have to learn new players pretty much. You don't have the Matt Simmons 4-year players anymore.
Well, a lot of new coaches coming in the league. You got new coaches at UAB, new coach at Charlotte, new coach at South Florida, new coach at Florida Atlantic, new coach at Cincinnati's gone. New coach, there's others. There's a ton of teams with new coaches in the league. I think if you look at all the new hires on paper, Tom Herman, Florida Atlantic looks like the best hire. But a lot of new coaches in the league to look at also. So that's that could play to our advantage.
Yeah, but I agree with you, Kyle, that I would. I'm leaning towards 7-5, 8-4 right now, off the top of my head, if I had to guess. But it's still way too early, and you don't know all the injuries. You don't know. Who knows? We could shock the world with the Michigan situation that's going on. Who knows what's going to happen with that game? And then the thing is that going back to what we were talking about with Marshall. That game, we don't know what what they have coming in.
Marshall.
That's right. And, Appalachian State hasn't been the Appalachian State.
They lost their OC. He's going to some damn where. Where's he going? I saw today he's leaving and going somewhere.
But I'm just saying, I'm not saying that they're, their program is really down.
Somebody help me out here. Where App State's OC's going? He's leaving.
I did not know that. It's news to me.
Yeah, well, I hope this wasn't private news from Bubba from his special source at App. But I was told.
Ed McMahon, Dave. I did not know that.
Mississippi State, thank you, Paige.
There we go. Okay, so it's not secret information. There you go.
Hey, Paige was Johnny on the spot with that.
Yeah, he's good. And, I really believe, though, that I believe we'll be all right. And, guys, we talked about the offensive side of the ball. Matt, you're a defensive guy. I know that. Let me ask you this question off the top of your head, because you're a linebacker. I'm going to just say this, and you can help me, because Matt is our expert of the he lives he's inside the transfer portal talking to guys. No, I'm kidding. But my concern on defense, I think we've done a nice job with DB. Not to steal your thunder. My concern is linebacker. Am I worried too much about that position?
Well, I definitely wouldn't say you're wrong for worrying about it. I think let's take a look at linebacker, and let's take a look at what we did in the portal. I mean, you look, BJ Davis is a guy from South Carolina State who was an all-conference player, all right, at his level. Taekwon King from Central, another all-conference player, 6'3", 215. My first thought when I looked at these guys was they're a little undersized, but the thing is, I gave it some thought. The game is so different now, and you have to be able to cover in space more than ever against 4 and 5 wide receiver sets. So these guys can run. I think they're very nice pickups. And then, we do have some pieces coming back as well. So I am a little concerned about it. but I think those guys can definitely fill some gaps for sure.
Because I feel really good about D-line. And then the other concern I had, I think they've done a nice job with addressing, was I was concerned about the D-backs or the DBs, but they seem to.
What about kicker and punter?
Haven't addressed that one yet.
I haven't heard anything on that.
Yeah, that needs to be addressed. Obviously, the young man was consistent second half of the season kicking, but we didn't really see him kick a long ball. And then punting is just that's gotta be addressed.
Chuck was asking about that. By the way, here's a sidebar for you, really, Matt. Shill has a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
And this is for you. He says, I have a question for Matt. Best linebacker he ever played with or watched at ECU?
Ooh, that's a good one, Shell. Well,
Libiano?
This one's easy for me, honestly, because I'm going to say the great Morris Foreman.
Mofo, yeah.
Yeah. Good answer.
And I'll say that, like, Shell, because I was Morris's backup my first 2 years. So I had a chance to, like, really watch him. I studied him, in film session every day. Tremendous player. Just, like, people always talk about what made Morris Foreman so good. He was just the most instinctive player. He was always in the right spot, always made plays. Just a great football player. I don't know how to explain it, but he wasn't overly big, wasn't overly fast, but man, he was just born to be a football player. So I'll say Morris, but no slight to any of the other guys. I played with a lot of good ones. Somebody mentioned Libiano. He was another great one. Played with so many good ones. Marvin Burke, Carlos Brown. I mean, those guys were all good. Those guys were all really good players. Jeff Carr, my good friend Jeff Carr, outstanding player. I mean, so many good ones,
Yeah, in fact, Shell said Chris Moore, Jeff Carr, met him a few times. And then how about this? Pace says Mofo, Libiano, Robert Jones, Jeff Carr, Pernell Griffin.
Start a team with that group right there, you'd win a lot of games.
Yeah, can we bring them back?
No doubt.
And Shell says, thanks, Matt. So great question. If you have questions or comments, then keep them. We've had a lot going. In fact, Chuck said that you stole his thunder, Kyle, about asking about the kicker and punter. But y'all are great minds think alike.
Well, we got no answers, so the question can still be asked because we particularly at punter, you got to address that. That was embarrassing at times this year.
By the way, our good friend Alan Vick, who's a Elvis aficionado, if you didn't hear, Lisa
Marie
passed away. He said that he watched Maurice in high school at Farmville Central and then at EC, probably the best football IQ of any player I've ever seen locally. And he said meant to say Morris. Yeah.
Yes. Tremendous football IQ. That's a really good point, Alan. Again, a guy, like, if he went to a combine, if Morris Foreman went to a combine, he wouldn't have blown anybody away with his size or his measurables. But this is a guy who returned punts. He was a linebacker who returned punts. Just think about that for a second. Just a really just tremendous player.
Yeah. About a holder as well. We need a kicker, punter, and he's
the punter and the holder kind of goes together, I guess. But
what about that? One of the things you see in the NFL and college is a backup quarterback like a Flynn.
Yeah, well, we used to do that too under Logan.
That's my school of thought, but what do you guys think? I mean,
gives you the option for the fake. It gives you the option for the fake whenever you have the backup quarterback as the holder.
By the way, guys, Captain Crunch, the great Danny Capley, one of the greatest to ever play linebacker in the history of ECU football.
Sure.
Thank you for being absolutely. That question was directed about who.
Matt didn't play with Danny Capley. So.
I've heard great things, though. I've heard tremendous things.
Oh my gosh, he was a big star in the CFL. Also, by the way, probably the help me out for those that are, but that's before my time. But I would argue that he's probably the best CFL player we've ever had.
No, Gizmo Williams.
Gizmo, well, yeah,
he was a star in the CFL. And then Marcus Crandall also won the great.
Yeah, I was going to say
but Gizmo Williams is legendary in the CFL.
Yeah. In fact, that particular group of people we were talking about last week, how many people will get drafted. That particular group of the 83 guys,
Yeah.
that I think the record is 8 guys got drafted. And here's the thing: it was not only NFL, CFL, and you had USFL. Obviously, the first rendition of that, and then of course we have the XFL. I think we can get a lot of guys drafted. And
Well, when people talk about drafted, they're talking about the NFL. But yeah, we'll get a lot of guys. We'll have an opportunity to play pro football with the Canadian Football League, the USFL for what it is now. And I don't know if the XFL. I don't. When is that supposed to start back? XFL
February.
version 3.
It's coming up February, but I can't remember the date. I'll look it up. It's next month.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would change the name.
Oh, go ahead, Kyle.
I would change the name from the XFL. I think it's dated. I think it's damaged. I would call it something else. Call it, I don't know, the Rock Football League. I don't freaking know. But I would change the name.
It's Saturday, February 18th is when it's coming up.
Yeah, well, I think baseball starts around that time. So,
what's the first thing you think of when you think of the XFL?
Bad Vince McMahon and bad football.
That it was just the thing is that the last rendition,
the wrestling for the damn ball at the beginning of the game instead of having a coin toss.
And what was the nickname of that player?
He hate me.
Yeah.
I always think he hate me.
Yeah,
Yep.
That kind of stuff was just it was too over the top. And the second time, actually, the ratings were good. The football was good. They pulled the plug on it too soon, I thought. The ratings.
Well, it happened, didn't? I mean, maybe I'm remembering wrong. Was it during 2020? Was it during COVID?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, so they kind of had to, but the XFL. But I'm not interested in it. I don't. I'm not going to watch it. College baseball starts around that time. That's what I'll be watching. I'm not interested in The Rock taking over Vince McMahon's league. But then now Vince is back at WWE after the scandals, and he's trying to sell the damn thing. And what a mess.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be interesting to see that the USFL playing there in Birmingham. That stadium was so nice.
Well, they got to get to their own home markets if they're going to ever succeed. It was a nice first season, but you can't have New York playing in Birmingham and Dallas playing in Birmingham. You got to get to your home market to see if you can draw.
No doubt about it.
Hey, fellas, really quick, I wanted to mention one more thing on this defense. Flipping back, I think one of the really good players we got that we haven't mentioned that I like on film is the safety from Elon. His name's Omar Rogers.
Yeah.
Talked to a friend of mine who is a coach and recruited him out of high school, and very high on this kid. Very high. He was a little, for whatever reason, he wasn't as highly recruited. Went to Elon, was all conference.
Yeah, and the Colonial is a hell of a FCS league.
Exactly.
It's the SEC of the FCS, as people say.
But he brings experience. You know what I mean? Like a lot of the guys we brought in have potential.
How many years does he have?
I want to say he's got two full years left.
Okay, that was my guess, but I couldn't remember. But here's a question for you guys. Not an easy question. Anybody think Ehlers will get drafted?
I think it's possible. Late rounds. He's got the right attitude. I think his injuries are going to hurt him. But I think his interception to completion ratio will get him some looks, and I think his attitude. I think Holton is such a positive guy, and he's a good leader, and he's the kind of guy you want in your locker room. I think it's possible that he goes late, but most likely a free agent contract.
Yeah, and then the other thing that I was talking about is that some people may disagree with me, but I think it's a potential of going to like a USFL, for example, CFL, doing very well there, and doing a Doug Flutie and getting and actually going to the league that way. I would prefer, obviously, the first way we're talking about, but if that doesn't happen, I don't think it's the end of the world for these kids. All he needs is a shot, and when he shows his leadership, when he shows that kid works really hard, and unless his body is so injured that from injuries there in the professional ranks that he can't go anymore, that would be my thing.
Yeah, he's a gamer. he's going to be successful whatever he does
Yeah.
in life, even if it's not football. He's going to be successful. So he's going to play football somewhere, whether it be Canada, USFL. He's definitely good enough to make a roster somewhere.
Definitely.
So, yeah.
Chuck is asking about Keaton Mitchell.
He'll get drafted.
First guy to get drafted since Zay Jones.
Yeah, his speed will get him drafted. You don't have that kind of speed. Keaton's got a good attitude. That kind of speed will get you drafted. Yeah, Keaton will go. I don't think he'll go early like Chris Johnson, but he'll go.
In fact, Axel is saying he's saying bottom second round. Do you guys think it'll be that high? I mean, I'm
not a draft expert, so I really can't say late second round, early third round. I'm not a draft guy, so I can't speculate as to where he'll go.
Fly up draft boards. I think there's going to be an aha moment where the word is out. He's going to run. He's going to catch somebody's eye, and I think there's going to be that moment. And I just have a feeling he's going to fly up draft boards and get himself in the top.
Fifth round running back class is deep. I was going to ask that question. B-Page, you read my mind about how many running backs. That was my thing about Keaton. Not that he doesn't have the talent, but that, what's the crop like this year for running backs? So that lets you know that there's a lot of running backs out there. They're coming out. So, but definitely he's the one that of all the, what is it, 8 guys? 9 guys, something like that.
I guess that claim they've declared. I mean, if you graduated, I guess you're declaring. I also declared on my Facebook the other day that I'm entering the NFL draft.
You are?
Yeah, I'm going. I'm entering the NFL draft. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
man, I didn't know
fullback.
That.
Kyle, did you declare as a fullback?
I'm going to be a wide receiver. I think a legally blind 300-pound wide receiver is something that the NFL's been missing for a long time. I think the girth and the lack of vision out there running routes it'll throw people off. Nobody will ever expect they're going to throw the ball to me, so I'll be wide open.
I can see Kyle, Dave. What do you think? I can see Kyle get one of those old school neck rolls. Remember the old neck rolls? Put one of those things on Kyle. Put him at fullback.
I tell you, he's like John Riggins, man. I'm a big Redskins fan. He's John Riggins, 44, baby. I'm telling you.
If you need a yard, I'll get you a yard. If you need 2 yards, I'll get you a yard.
Yeah, and I can see Kyle. This would be like a great Disney movie, like Walt Disney Productions. This great kid, come out of Eastern North Carolina. He never played in college. He makes it, kind of like, what was the movie with Wahlberg? Was it Invincible?
Four Brothers.
Yeah.
On the Philadelphia Eagles, you're talking about? Yeah. Invincible,
yeah.
Four Brothers. That's all I got. That's all my work.
Yeah. But anyway,
the only Mark Wahlberg movie I've ever seen is Four Brothers.
I love
really.
Wahlberg is a great actor.
Yeah.
Wahlberg,
he's tremendous. He's just tremendous. If you want everything said in a Boston accent, he's just tremendous.
Oh man, I'm a huge Wahlberg fan. We're gonna have to disagree on that one. I love him.
I think Donnie's better than Mark.
His first movie, Fear, is tremendous.
Oh, no, you're right. I take that back. I will take back the Four Brothers. Fear is awesome. The scene on the roller coaster alone is worth watching that movie.
I just think, I don't know. He's like one of those.
You know that scene, Matt?
I'm trying to remember. I probably haven't seen it for 15 years.
Well,
I'll go back and watch. Tremendous.
Okay. Well, you might not get as much out of it now, but
what about
also another very memorable scene from that movie when he cuts the dog's head off and puts it through the doggy door.
Yeah. Yep.
Shooter is good too. B-Pay said. Yeah.
The Departed. What about The Departed? Or was it? Yeah, The Departed was great.
The Farted?
No, The Departed.
Oh, okay. No, I've never seen that. But you're right. Fear is a great movie. I should not have overlooked that one. Tremendous movie, as a matter of fact. In fact, I was talking about that movie to somebody the other day.
You guys, do you want to talk a little more recruiting? If you have anything you want to put in the comments, B-Pays, Axel, Chuck, Robert, there's a lot of guys chiming in. Brandon, Shell, whoever's up there and want to put anything up there as far as recruiting questions, because we're going to move on. And
if anybody wants to attack me, I get attacked in my inbox by random people. I won't even bring the name up because it's not worth mentioning, but it's just hysterical that, I'm just sitting there minding my own business and I get attacked in my inbox, by some maniac and who who claims I was rude to him at a game last year, and it's hysterical. Some of these people.
It's a mistaken identity. You're never, like I said before, Matt and Kyle are allowed.
Oh no, Dave, this ass clown is from Williamson originally, and actually mentioned my mom, dad, and sister by name.
Oh well.
So I mean, maybe a bit of a stalker, but I won't give his name any credit. But I told him anytime he wants to, and it'll stand here, I'll meet him face to face, and I have an interesting story to tell about getting his ass kicked by a legally blind man with cancer. So it's a good story to tell.
All right, here's we love Dallas and we love JR, but this is our JR, Johnny Robertson. He chimes in. The Pirates signed Carmelo Martin to a track scholarship. He ran the third fastest high school 60 meters in the nation, 6.76. Do you think he could see the football field at some point? He did play football in high school. I didn't know about him, so that's cool, Johnny.
It's a good question. Did he walk? Is he on the team? Is he walked on?
No, he's saying that this guy's a track star.
Right.
But no, he's not on the team.
It would be, well, if he wants to walk onto the team, I'm sure that with that kind of speed, Coach Houston would be willing to look at him.
Yeah, he definitely. And he played football, so he knows. I know it's at the high school level, but definitely, I have no issues with it. And Robert says, talk tight ends. By the way, Matt, going back to the offensive side of the ball.
Okay, definitely. Let me just say though, Johnny Robertson. Johnny's tremendous with these stats and all this stuff he pulls up. I mean, Johnny's all over it, but that is tremendous speed. That is an unbelievable 60. So, hey, remember Rocket Ishmael for Notre Dame? He was a track guy at first. You never know. Maybe try him on a few kickoffs. But
I was going to ask about that with the running a kickoff back. That would be good. Special team.
One cut and go. But So somebody just asked about tight ends, right?
Robert.
What's up, Robert? That's another position of a little concern. You look at our depth right now. Shane Calhoun is the one, I feel like, true tight end on the roster. Really like Shane Calhoun. But you look behind him, Tyler Savage, more of a receiver type than an inline blocker. We did bring in a kid
graduated, right?
Germany. What's that?
Didn't Jarman, the kid from local?
Yeah.
He graduated, right?
He did.
Okay.
We brought in kind of a project player, I guess you would call, from Germany last year, a kid by the name of Max Lanch.
Yeah, I remember that now.
Yeah, he's on the roster. Apparently there's a lot of talent there, but it's unproven talent. So I think that's a great point. I'm glad Robert brought it up. I think that's a position, if we can address it here over the next month or two, we definitely should.
Yeah, you don't have to have – one more would probably be enough, one more true tight end, and you're probably all right. So
Johnny was talking about the player Carmelo Martin. They would have to use one of their 85 scholarships if he played.
But
if
does he have a track scholarship?
He got the track scholarship, so that's why I was saying he would be.
Yeah, he could be a walk-on.
He could be a walk-on of the football team. You wouldn't get 2 scholarships, right?
Well, track scholarships sometimes are partial. A kid at that level is probably a full scholarship. So I would.
I hope to God if he has that speed at 60 meters, like Matt said.
Yeah, he's probably full scholarship on track. Yeah, we probably wouldn't have to use a scholarship on him.
That's another reason why
unless there's some NCAA rule I don't know about where I don't know, like if you can't use a scholarship from another sport to play on the football team. I don't know of that rule.
But like there are other players that play multi sports. I mean, do they have a scholarship for every single? That would be crazy. That would be nuts. I don't think you would do that, right?
No,
you're not going to be required to. If a kid plays,
well, I mean that's paying your tuition twice. So no.
Yeah, it makes no sense. But anyway, you're right about that, Matt, about the tight end situation. We always overlook, but with Houston wanting to run into football, you got to have tight ends. So,
yeah. And we do utilize the tight end very well here. Like, even though Ryan Jones, I feel like, didn't get as many touches. Kyle talked a lot about this over the last half of the season, that he didn't get as many touches as he should have. But when you combine those two players, Calhoun and Jones, we were productive at the tight end position this year, as a whole.
Right. And Pace said, you're right, Pace. We did have some track football guys in the 90s. You're absolutely right. off the top of my head. I mean, it'll probably come to me tomorrow when I'm driving to work, but we definitely did. I do remember that now that you say that. Definitely, it's going to be great. And tight end may be a position like we talked about with quarterback, some other positions that are being careful and not just signing any old guy. And I think when it comes down to it, Matt, you made a great point back when they had the signing class that day that we have to think of recruiting differently. We have to think of the signing day differently. I hate the early signing day, but I love February early signing day. It's like a holiday to me. They should have kept it, but actually they approved now. By the way, guys, an earlier signing day. Is it summertime? I'll have to look back over when they agreed that they were going to do that. So I don't think the December one. They'll move that one up to. If somebody can help me out with that, it was last night. I was getting ready to fall asleep when I read that they had approved that. I didn't look into the actual date, but what I've heard, the experts are saying coaches they would want to have it like in the summertime, like a July. And but I don't know when what the committee said as far as NCAA. You know, the NCAA, they do crazy stuff. So hell, they might have it in the middle of the season. Who knows? Not really. But
well, since you mentioned it, fellas, nice move. And I never give the NCAA credit for anything. Nice move last night with this new rule on transferring.
Yeah.
They amended that. And maybe you guys can talk a little more eloquently about it than I can. But that finally the NCAA shows some common sense.
Only one time you get a transfer one time,
and then after that you have to have a legitimate reason. You can transfer once at will, and then after that, if you're going to do it again, there has to be extenuating circumstances.
Which is definitely the smart thing. By the way, Bubba alluded to this last night. The NCAA finally got it right. We can hire as many coaches as we want in baseball, softball, different sports. We've had that where it's not a requirement because some of the baseball.
So that was passed. We can have more baseball coaches.
Yes, last night it was. It broke last night, so I wanted to mention that too. That they finally got it right. We thought.
Well, to a point, I would have put a limit on it. I wouldn't have done it unlimited because you're gonna have SEC schools now with 25 coaches.
Well, I mean, I don't know how many. They may have a limit on it, but as far as us, we can. Coach Godwin has wanted to hire at least one more coach, or maybe two. So now that when we're a top 15 program, and the great thing about this, guys, is that this is not saying that you have to. It basically says it allows you, gives you the option, and that's what I'm happy with. It's not an
as long as it's not unlimited. If they increased it by one or two coaches, that's great. I don't want unlimited because, like I said, the SEC. It'll be ridiculous. You'll have two catching coaches, two pitching coaches, two first base coaches, three hitting coaches. It'll get insane. But if they increased it by one or two, even three, then I'm all in favor of it.
And help me out, those that are listening or watching. Maybe you can help me out on that one. But I do know they passed. I just don't know if it's unlimited or limited. But anyway, thankfully they got it right where that's going to help out our program a lot too. It's totally ridiculous that a guy that's, for example, one of the coaches they literally have is a volunteer coach, and the only way he can get money is for a summer camp that has Cliff Godwin's name. It's totally ridiculous, especially when we're a top 15 program. He shouldn't have to starve or literally. That and they made instructional videos. Coach Godwin's awesome to make instructional videos. He makes money off of that and the baseball camps in the summer instead of where we could hire him for, I don't know, 50, 100,000. I mean, it doesn't.
Right. And now we'll be able to hire him to a real salary. So that's good. And
okay, here's one for Axel, by the way, Matt. He says, check out Bray Walker. I think that's available Oklahoma O-line transfer, a 5-star.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah. Love to have any 5 stars for sure. I think we're going to beat the bushes on all those guys. I mean, we're going to take a look at everybody. I feel like so.
This is for you, Matt, from Irving. Do you or any of your other teammates ever speak to the team about your playing days? If so, do those talks to the team have any positive impacts on the players?
Current team, you mean?
Current team. Well,
the team, yeah. Like in other words, do you go to practice? and talk to the team?
I don't, but not because I don't want to. It's just because I live so far away. Live in Connecticut, so it's really hard for me to get back. But I would love that
I
opportunity.
can pick you up at the airport.
What's that?
I can pick you up at the airport, the PGV.
Absolutely. Hey, I would love to, man. I love to talk to players like that. But I'm sure there's a lot of players that come back. And I know when I was in school, Jeff Blake came and spoke with us before games. So I'm sure they have guys come in, that would do that.
Hey, by the way, our good friend Terry Gallagher, that's a contributor to the show, sometimes he actually went to one of the bowl practices a few days before the bowl. He went there and spent time with the team and drove up from Wilmington to Greenville. So the legendary Terry Gallagher. So
Well,
you
yeah, good to see Terry going to one of the bowl practices. Did he go to the bowl game? He went to the damn practice and didn't go to the game? That's
no,
weird.
what happened? No, he has a situation with his family. I don't want to get into personal stuff, but
Okay.
He's a caregiver. I would just say that. And so,
Right. Yeah. In-laws. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's a situation where his wife is from Wilmington and he's taking care of them. And so he can't leave and do a lot of, like, he can go around to Greenville or Wilmington.
Right. Yeah. I got it.
Yeah. But anyway,
one more thing, really quick. Sorry to cut you off, Dave. Back to Irving's question, though. I'll tell you what. If I did have an opportunity to speak to players now,
what would you say?
It wouldn't even be about football. Honestly, it would be about find something in your life beyond football that you would really love to do. Because I think the biggest mistake, and I'm not to get too deep and philosophize here, but Irving brought the question up. But too often these young guys that are 20, 21, they think they're going to play in the NFL for 10, 15 years, and it rarely happens. So you got to have something to lean back on, and a career. And I think that's what the young guys need to hear more of, is life beyond football. That's a huge thing. I'm off my soapbox, guys.
Are you talking to Kyle? Because Kyle's going to the NFL.
Yeah, I'm going to the league. I have no backup plans. It's all or nothing.
Oh wow, that's not Matty Ice didn't make a impact on you there. What he's talking. Axel says, Kyle, how much money you make from the national championship?
How much money did I make from the national championship?
No, I mean, I think that he's asking about how much money did Georgia get for winning the
I have no idea. A lot. A lot.
Speaking of which, that was a fantastic game on Monday night.
No, it was not. Good Lord. Worst national championship game ever. Hated to see it for TCU. But it is what it is. Georgia destroyed them. I was sleeping. No, I didn't see much of it at all. There wasn't much to see.
No, and that 65-7, and everybody was talking about that proves that TCU doesn't belong. How many times it wasn't that lopsided, but Notre Dame, when they've been in it, they've had some blowouts too, and they're a brand name team. So it's not. I'm not taking up for TCU. I mean, but I do believe they belong, and also it goes to show you that we need the 12-team playoff, which we're getting 2024, because who knows? But they definitely deserve to be in the playoff, and they beat Michigan. I mean, Michigan. You can say what you want to. Michigan didn't win. They beat Michigan, and so they deserve to be in the national championship game. And I think, honestly, I
think it was simple. I think TCU has talent, but I think a lot of what they do is based off coaching and scheme. And I think had they had multiple weeks to prepare for Georgia like they did Michigan, it would have been a different ball game. Probably same outcome, but a much closer game. I think that was the difference. I think one, Georgia's speed. Michigan doesn't have Georgia's speed, but I think two, they had weeks to prepare and scheme for Michigan. They didn't for Georgia.
At Michigan, and by the way, guys, Georgia is just that good. I don't care what Nick Saban says. Georgia is the best program in college football. Nick Saban, can you say that a few times? Georgia is the best program in college football. And, you have to tip your hat to them. I think that they were light years better than anybody else. And it showed I don't think that TCU was that bad. I just think that Georgia's that good. And nobody's talking about how great Georgia is. That's what you need to talk about, is how great Georgia is. And that shows you the TCU is good, but Georgia is great. And that's the way I felt, is that, Yeah, 65-7. But I think even if you put Alabama in there, you put other schools in there, they would maybe it wouldn't have been that lopsided. But Georgia was going to win. I mean, that's just my. And Georgia, you know what? We got tired of hearing about Alabama, Clemson. Eventually, you'll get tired of hearing about Georgia.
Already am.
Okay, there you go. They're the top dog, and they're going to be there until somebody.
The top dog.
Yeah, no pun intended, actually. But
Stetson, I mean, that guy, there's a lot of jokes right now about how old he is and whatnot. But man, he can sling it. He was throwing darts, absolute darts. And let me say, when he gets on the move, he can run. He's fast. He's a very talented quarterback.
Like 12 positions, it was only one punt. It was one field goal, one punt, and everything else was a touchdown.
Yeah.
You see that way.
It's like our game with Coastal, one punt, and it was blocked.
Axel says, I see a lot of the same flair this ECU team showed this season in Georgia. Well, Georgia's, like I said, there's Georgia and everybody else. I don't care what anybody says. And they're going to be good for the next handful of years. Get used to it. I'm not trying to be Steve Spurrier, but that's the way it is. Kirby's built a great program there in Athens. And anyway, I don't want to talk more about that. Like, Georgia's not my team, but I got to tip my hat to them. They are the best right now. Let's talk about fundraising, guys. They came out today, the most ever. There's a record now, over $35 million for the Pirate Club. So Ryan Robinson, I want to give them a shout out. And we've raised $15.2 million for Pirates Unite, the capital campaign. In fact, Shell was asking that question about the indoor practice facility earlier about that. Right now, we don't know the one thing. The one thing we need to find out, and maybe Pays knows or somebody knows, is the breakdown of the 15 million. I think it's 15.2, and I think what I've been told is a lot of that money is going to baseball for what Cliff Godwin wants. Because you can, like for me, I've pledged $2,500 for this year for Pirates Unite. So 500 is 5 projects, so 500 each is what I've pledged. So anyway, I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that Pirates Unite, and we're a quarter of the way there. It's a very ambitious $60 million capital campaign project with those 5 different projects. And so, what do you guys think? How long does it take to raise the 60 mil?
Who the hell knows? It's a lot of money, and you're asking a lot of the same people for that money. So to get to that 60 million point, we're a quarter of the way there now. Who knows? A long time.
Yeah, Pace at 14.99999 you get to the
I agree with Pays on that one. Let's get that done.
We're way behind. We're playing catch up, guys. That should have been done years ago, and that's my concern. Not pointing fingers at any one person, but we've got to have we shouldn't be playing catch up when it comes to that indoor practice facility. Should have been done years ago, and so now we find ourselves we're behind the 8 ball. We don't have that. We're looking at if we do it, and if you think about it, if we average 15 million a year, that's going to take 4 years to get all those. To get the whole project,
Don't worry. When Vince sells the WWE to the Saudis for $4 billion, he'll shoot us the rest of the money.
Do you really think he's going to do that?
I think he's going to sell it. Yeah, I don't know if it'll be the Saudis, but yeah, he's going to sell.
Please don't tell me that. That would be.
He's definitely going to sell.
No. I know that. I'm just saying to the Saudis. Don't get me started on that. I'm going to.
One of the rumors. I don't know. I think at the end of the day. I hope Fox buys it because I think they'll know what to do with it the best. I think it'll end up being NBC Universal, but it is what it is. To me, that's a whole different topic that everybody doesn't care about. I think corporate wrestling, and I don't think wrestling should be owned by corporations. Just don't even get me started.
Yeah,
it all started with Turner back in the day and TBS on WCW. And
how great did that work out?
It didn't.
That was Jim Hurd. By the way, speaking of Kyle, and for all you wrestling fans, on Peacock, you got to check out the new Ric Flair documentary. I saw it on Saturday morning, and it was awesome. It's called Woo!
Great name.
Yeah.
Yeah, by the way, any of you guys out there who have old WWF, LJN, or Hasbro figures that you want to get rid of, please feel free to hit me up on Messenger. WWF, LJN, and Hasbro figures from the 80s and 90s, I am very interested in buying them. So hit me up if you got them.
Paige, are you a wrestling fan? I just picture that Paige is a WWE fan. I don't know. Maybe I'm not to single you out, Paige, but I just have a feeling that Paige is a wrestling guru. Maybe I'm wrong. I'll see if I'm wrong.
I'm gonna guess you're wrong.
Yeah, I'm wrong. All right, we'll see.
Guru. I'm a wrestling guru, baby. Paige may have some fans.
Wait a minute. He was an NWA fan. There you go.
There you go. National Wrestling Alliance. Well, saying Paige is an NWA fan could mean two different things, but we'll stick with the National Wrestling Alliance. I ain't fixing to say the name of the other one.
NWA?
The NWA Ric Flair Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling with the great Bob Caudle calling it, and Gordon Sully,
Johnny Weaver,
Dusty Rhodes. Well, I don't know. Paige's going to be a little bit after Johnny Weaver, but Dusty Rhodes, Tully Blanchard, Arn Anderson, Rock and Roll Express, Midnight Express, Magnum TA, the Koloffs, on and on.
We lost Matt there, I think. Right.
No, Matt's a wrestling fan. Matt just knows Northeast Wrestling, WWF.
I enjoy it, but I'll trust the experts on this. I defer.
Okay.
Matt and I had a conversation about wrestling the other night. He had a video. He thought it was the best of the NWA when he was a kid, but I determined it was the best of the AWA.
Yes, you did.
Man, the AWA was great because it came on ESPN right at, like after school.
4 o'clock, yeah. Actually, AWA and World Class actually share that time slot.
Yeah, that's the only reason why I knew about the Von Erichs was that those guys.
Yeah, the World Class. Yeah, Von Erichs, unfortunately, one of the biggest tragedies in wrestling.
And Paige talking about Tony Schiavone on Saturday nights, baby. 605.
Yeah, WTBS. Yes, 605. Make sure you're there. Tony Schiavone and David Crockett.
Oh my God, David Crockett was the
David
worst.
Crockett always screaming and getting excited.
I know he was a Crockett, but he was to me one of the worst wrestling announcers.
Oh, it was horrible. He always screamed. He always would start screaming.
How about this? Jim Duggan just shot a home intruder, if I'm not mistaken. I believe.
Yes, correct. He didn't shoot him. This is what happened. Home intruder broke in. Jim Duggan tackled him, held him at gunpoint until the police got there.
Wait a minute. He shot him. You know what would be better?
No, he didn't shoot him. He did not shoot him.
Oh, he didn't. Okay.
He tackled him and held him at gunpoint until the police got there. And,
okay.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan, 2-time cancer survivor.
Yep.
Tough guy. Very tough guy.
But but his character, he had that. I would have a damn 2x4.
2x4. Yeah.
He's got to stay in character. Come on, man.
Well, he didn't shoot the guy. He tackled him. He did use his tackle.
Yeah, that's
true. Jim Duggan. Now we're getting way off topic here, but Jim Duggan in Mid-South, in Bill Watts territory versus Jim Duggan in the WWF was two totally different things. He was a badass in Mid-South, and
my favorite wrestler of all time.
WWF. Do what now?
Chuck is talking about Jimmy Boogie Woogie Man, and he also.
Jimmy Boogie Woogie Man Valiant. I tell you what, and Ricky Steamboat. I tell you what, those of you who are only familiar with Jimmy Boogie Woogie Man in the Mid-Atlantic territory, go watch some of his stuff on YouTube from Memphis. It's a totally different vibe. He played a heel in Memphis, totally different thing, and it was pretty cool. If you haven't ever seen Jimmy Valiant as a heel in Memphis, you need to go check it out on YouTube.
And see, we're wrong about Paige again. Look, check this out, Kyle. You and I both love this magazine. Look at this. He has a collection of 1980s Pro Wrestling Illustrated.
PWI, very nice. I got a nice collection of WWF LJN figures, Paige. I'd like to see your PWI collection, actually. That's pretty cool. Anything with Cornette, I'm interested in.
In fact, I saw, and Cornette talked about it, Corny, and we'll get back to, I promise, about ECU. But Cornette, actually, they came with the Rock and Roll Express and the Midnight Express, came to the old Rose High School, which is now Epps Middle School. And it was June of '87, and he talked about that on one of his episodes.
That was during the Rock and Roll Express Super Summer Sizzler tour.
Yep. And so I was there. I saw that. In fact, this old lady hit Jim Cornette with a pocketbook when we had my dad, my sister, and I. We had ringside seats. It was
oddly enough, Dave, the first wrestling show I ever went to was in '88 at Washington High School. And it was the NWA Mid-Atlantic show. And it was, do you remember when Paul E. Dangerously had brought back Dennis Condrey, and they had the original Midnight Express against the Midnight Express with Cornette, Stan Lane, and Bobby Eaton.
Yeah.
And that was the main event that night at the high school. Dennis Condrey, I forget who the other member was of the original Midnight Express, with Paul E. Dangerously managing them against Cornette and Stan Lane and Bobby Eaton, Midnight Express. Along with Ivan Koloff, the Russian Assassins, Ron Simmons, Kendall Windham, Dustin Rhodes. It was a nice little card.
Hey, by the way, we got a text. Holton Ahlers just met Ron Simmons, and I was telling.
Damn.
Yeah, and I'm glad you came on the show, because I was telling Matt about Ron Simmons, and he recognized him.
What was the story with him and Ron meeting?
Well, on Saturday, that was one thing I was going to talk about, guys. Holton's going to be at the Hula Bowl, which they moved from Hawaii to Orlando.
Yeah, and Ron obviously played at Florida State. Right.
I was telling. See, there you go, Matt.
I'm just laughing about Axel's comment about his magazine collections and the pages.
The $1 Million Man.
No, not that one. Evidently, he was talking about a comment about a magazine collection and pages sticking together.
Yeah.
Not PWI, different kind of collection.
I think Axel was reading the old People magazine back in the day.
Kyle, what is my wrestling name? You are the Undertaker, Mark Calloway.
That's right.
You are the Undertaker.
This is great. Here's a story from Pays. Pays is the best. We'll have to get him on one night with us soon. Ric Flair got drunk in one of my dad's convenience stores in 1989 and body slammed a Hulk Hogan life-size cutout, and they had to call the cops.
You can't call the cops on the Nature Boy for body slamming a Hulk Hogan cutout. I don't blame him. Hulk Hogan cut out in the Carolinas. Ric Flair was like, "This is the Carolinas, baby. This is Flair country. This is Horseman territory."
Yeah, no
Limousine riding, dick flying, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, son of a gun.
We need to do a whole show on wrestling for Kyle, and literally invite in some brand name guests.
Oh, we do.
Well, we've had a wrestling show. We've done two. We had C.W. Anderson, who was a star in ECW, and an indie star in the Carolinas, and then we did one with Pirate Al and some guy who used to write an article down in Charleston,
and we had
covering
Koloff.
Yeah, we had the great Nikita Koloff on, the Russian Nightmare, Nikita Koloff.
Yeah, right. He's a great guy. So we can get more guys, and we could do that for you, Matt, if you'd like.
Hey, it's all Kyle. It's all Kyle.
All Kyle all the time, right?
I'll support it. I'll definitely help support it.
It'd be fun. Another wrestling show with multiple wrestling guests would be fun. I don't know how much interest there'd be from the viewing public, but old school wrestling is something I really enjoy. Don't care much for the current product, but 80s, and then 90s also.
Well, the great thing about it was those guys. The thing that makes Kyle so great, one of the things is that he can cut promos, and that's the thing that was great therapy for us during the Mo years. But anyway, that's the one great thing about the guys from the 70s and 80s is that they could talk, and now
90s also. I mean,
yeah,
there's not many that can talk now without script. MJF is one. There's a handful of others, but it ain't like it used to be.
Bruno Sammartino was the man. That's what Chuck says.
Bruno, up Matt's way. There was no bigger star than Bruno Sammartino in the Northeast in the 70s. Bruno in the 70s in the Northeast and the late 60s through the 70s. Bruno was a god in the Northeast.
He was like champion for the WWF for how many years?
It was a while. He had a couple different reigns, but it was a while. He was super over. Sold out the Garden millions. No, well, not millions of times. Sold out the Gardens a lot. And I'm Matt. You're little young. You should remember Bruno, but I would imagine your dad would remember Bruno really well.
Yeah. Jersey, all that. Yeah.
I remember the name well, but yeah, I'm sure.
NWA mid '80s, the best. And I loved it, man.
Yeah, no, I agree. You NWA wrestling, mid to late '80s, you can't get much better. All wrestling was good during that time. Even the WWF was good during that time.
Yeah, no doubt. The main event, WrestleMania started in 1985. I mean, Well,
I even think about before then. When guys like the Magnificent Morocco were being pushed, and And you had young tag team like the Hart Foundation when they first came in, the British Bulldogs when they first came in, and there was some good wrestling out of the Northeast at that time too. There was good wrestling everywhere, man. Memphis, AWA, there was so much good stuff back then.
How about this? Ace, when I did radio in Charlotte, I walked into Chili's near my house one night, and Magnum TA and Tully Blanchard were eating.
Magnum TA and Tully Blanchard share children, stepchildren. They Magnum ended up marrying Tully's ex-wife.
That's right.
They have stepchildren together.
I forgot about that. That's correct. I met.
Are they friends or do they want to kill each other?
No, they get along.
No, they're friends. Yep. They're friends. And that's the one thing about kayfabe. Like back in the day, they could have never done that when they were in their prime. They would have to eat at different restaurants, different hotels.
Oh yeah, definitely. You would
like now, if we were all wrestling stars, we could go down to the Holiday Inn bar or whatever the bar, wherever they stay. We could hang out together, and we could be killing each other in the ring now, and it's no big deal. And you can, but back then, it was everything was real.
It was kayfabe, and if you were a babyface, you better not be seen with a heel in public, and vice versa. And and you. I mean, and that was another thing in some of the territories, like Bill Watts, Mid-South territory. If you got in a fight in a bar and you lost to a fan and it got out in the paper, you were done. You were done in this territory. You were going to go somewhere else. Yep. So if you got in a real fight, you better make sure you won it.
Guys, going back to football, Brandon says, I know y'all were talking about our new cornerbacks coach might be, who might be, we don't know, but who do we get if Blake Harrell gets picked by another school? I haven't heard anything about that. Have you guys about Blake Harrell?
I haven't heard anything.
No.
I don't know any reason to speculate. But if he got poached, we would make a hire. But I don't see that happening right now. Our defense didn't have the kind of season really that it started off looking like it was going to have.
You got to be able to cover people on the back end, and we couldn't cover anybody, unfortunately.
They said the game stopped all of that.
Yep. Yeah. And that's why you see such an emphasis. I mean, if you just look at this recruiting class, I want to say between the portal and the high school commitments, I want to say we brought in 6 or 7 new guys.
Yeah, and that's why to me also losing the corners coach didn't break my heart. I mean, I don't I'd be interested who we hire, but I don't.
And guys, Mike Houston is like, the football community is like a small town. He knows guys. I mean, not to make light of it, but he knows guys he can plug in. And if you're a good football coach, that's the potential. So you already know a handful of guys that you would hire or potentially hire off the top of your head. You have to. Just like an athletic director, they're not a good athletic director if they don't have a handful of coaches in mind that like the hot up and coming guys or guys that we could potentially get to East Carolina, like with John Gilbert. I can guarantee you that he's got guys in mind. If Mike Houston has a year and all of a sudden another conference comes looking at a school and takes him, then he's got other guys in mind. I would definitely say that he would do that.
I'll tell you where I'd look first, guys. I would look first to Navy staff, somebody who studied under their DC Newberry for a while. Because that's a program, they do less with more talent-wise than anybody. Excuse me, more with less talent-wise than anybody in the country. They are very well coached. They have a great scheme. That's the type of guy I'm looking for. That comes from a proven program that you can plug in here at East Carolina. When you don't have top talent.
Did Coach Ken Niumatalolo, did he get hired somewhere? I haven't heard of. He's such a great coach. I can't believe.
I don't think his background is on offense, isn't it?
No, I know. I'm just saying that he.
Or is it on defense? I'm not sure.
Yeah. Newberry's the new head coach. He was.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, what's Ken Niumatalolo's background?
My understanding is just offensively triple option. Yep, that was his.
Yeah. Okay. I was just wondering if he got another job because he's too good of a coach. And won a lot of games for Navy, and all that went down was really horrible. But anyway, as they say, it's the nature of the business, it's not a pretty business, football. But anyway, do you guys have anything? I know that we talked about basketball was tough last night. Women have won. For those joining us late, they're up to 12-5, 3-1 in the conference in the American. They've won 3 straight. Our guys have lost 3 straight. Baseball, by the way, guys, as Kyle mentioned, starts February the 17th. So that Friday, really excited about that. So if you have it's George Washington, right? Is it? And I think that they told us the Hippos. Is that right? The new is that the new nickname, or was that a joke when they were the Colonials?
I don't know.
They're coming to town February 17th. But anyway, that's going to be fantastic. Get your tickets. Single game tickets are on sale. You go to ecpirates.com or call them.
I heard they were the Hippos. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but I heard.
Well, JR says it's real, and he's from that area. So
wow, that's horrible.
That is disgusting.
The Hippos.
That nickname has been there for a million years, and the fact that you're changing to the hippopotamuses, the hippos.
I want a hippopotamus for Christmas. Only hippopotamus will do. I'm gonna sing that the whole damn time.
Kid for the 80s, you're thinking about hungry hippos. How can you take them seriously?
You can't. I mean, so was this a political thing where with the
gotta be? I don't know why you would use the colonial.
Is this one of these like cancel culture political things that
colonial is apparently it represents colonial times and racist. Can't have that.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I did see a cool video of a hippo.
I wonder if they're gonna have to change the name of the conference.
Change everything.
Can't be the Colonial Athletic Association. They're gonna have to be the Hippopotamus Athletic Association.
The hack.
Yeah.
That's what I am in golf, by the way, guys. I'm a hack, but
okay.
Yeah, I chase a ball around. Don't ever invite me to a golf tournament. You'll be really mad and miserable. So, not a golf. I mean, I love golf, but I'm terrible at it. So,
I hate golf, and I'm terrible at it. So, how about that?
Oh, you hate golf? I thought you were a golfer.
No, I can't stand golf.
Really?
Hate it.
I thought for sure you'd be on the PGA Tour and now the
LIV. I burp in its general direction.
Kyle, we need to get you a pair of those John Daly Zubaz pants back in the day.
I can do some Zubaz. I mean, Zubaz that was part of wrestling culture in the early '90s. So actually, the Road Warriors owned they owned part of that company for a while. So,
really?
Yeah, I can do some Zubaz. That'll be cool. Get some orange, some nice orange and black ones with some neon popping. That'd be pretty cool. Wear a fanny pack with it. Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's anyway. That's some tough stuff, but we'll and by the way, want to make sure in the coming weeks we'll have someone with Team Boneyard. We got to the last topic I have tonight is the NIL money, and I know it's something that is the elephant in the room. Coach Houston talked about it. Guys, it's looking like SMU, I think, is giving their players, what was it, $35,000? I think Bubba did the math. It's like about $3 million a year just on players for basketball and football. That's tough at our school, but it looks like that in order to compete in the league, we're going to have to raise a lot of money like that every single year. So that's why, like I was saying, with the whole thing with
I think we should do it 1 year. I think we should put a whole bunch of money in 1 year, win a national championship, and then just take it all away and be like, all right, you guys can go in the portal now. We won a national championship.
So what Kyle's going to do, you know what this reminds me of? For baseball fans, the Florida Marlins. Every time they win, they dismantle the whole damn team.
Yeah, well, that's fine. Hey, you win a national championship, we can do that.
How long do you think? So if you cheat, do you think? Are you talking about cheating?
I ain't cheating. No, cheat. Hell, why are you gonna cheat? You can just open up your wallet and pay people. There ain't no need to cheat no more.
Is there any cheating anymore? Like
there's cheating, but I mean,
what constitutes cheating now? I mean, it seems like it's just
you're gonna have to ask your wife about that, Matt.
Wow,
touche.
That's a good question, though. I mean, I don't. That's a very good question. I don't know. I don't think you're supposed to technically offer high school recruits NIL, but it happens.
And all these coaches that are going after players are tampering. That's another thing. There's so much tampering going on that the NCAA is so far behind and so antiquated. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, but that's something they never dreamt of.
I want to make a point on that tampering. So a few coaches came out recently, were really outspoken about. Mac Brown was one of them,
Yep.
and then the coach for Pitt, Narduzzi, they were talking about how there are a few programs out there that are tampering, blah 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 blah, but they didn't have the balls to mention the names of the programs.
Yeah.
If you really want to create change, call these people out.
Well, maybe they did it behind the
Otherwise,
scenes.
What was that?
Maybe they did it behind the scenes. They mentioned it to the NCAA, who was tampering. They just didn't do it in the media.
I don't know.
Yeah, I hope so, because you're not going to get change if you don't speak up.
No.
We need change.
How about this? Pace says NCAA is running a strip club with lap dances and a boom boom room.
Yeah, and there's nothing that's a bigger waste of money than a strip club. Also, so I don't know.
Yeah, that is the drink. You have to pay a cover charge.
Well, look, I mean, you're gonna leave. Well, don't even get me started. You're gonna leave. You're just gonna leave wanting what you set. I mean, it's just if you're gonna spend money, you might as well get what you pay for.
Yeah, that's definitely another show for
I'm
Kyle's
just saying.
Podcast. Kyle Unleashed.
I'm just saying, strip clubs are a waste of money.
This is the late night show.
Yeah, indeed.
Well, we're not at midnight.
Well, I mean,
midnight.
Has anybody genuinely ever had a great time at a strip club?
Yes.
You have? Really? Okay. Good for you. Good for you. I've never. I mean, I've had fun, but never a great time at a strip club.
What do you say, Matt? He didn't do it right.
I'm just listening. My family's in the next room. I got to talk.
Yeah,
to them.
Yeah,
we'll get those stories off the air.
Hey, that's premium content. We got to put it behind the wall.
We'll find the paywall. That's right. We'll go to our Patreon.
Uh-oh. Here you go. Kyle, I'm taking you to a real strip club and I have a good time and eat a good steak.
Look, unless I'm going to eat something besides steak, I have no interest in going to the strip club. I'll put it to you like that. I have no interest in looking at things I can't touch.
But can you?
If I can, then I'm interested in going.
Okay. I don't know. Pays is the man, so we'll have to do that sometime. We'll have a sports objective night out. Yeah, like Kyle's getting really quiet there. So, all right, we're running long tonight. Do you guys have anything? I appreciate everybody being on with us tonight. It's been a lot. Actually, speaking of fun, I've had a great time with you guys. And certainly we'll keep up with the Pirates played Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock. The basketball in the hard.
Need to win bad.
Yeah, please.
Lose the momentum.
Yeah, we've lost 3 straight. So we're hoping that we talked about that earlier, right before you came on, Kyle, about Cincinnati was doing everything they could do no wrong, and we did all wrong. And that's why we had, I think, our worst performance of the season. But Mama said there'll be days like this where they have a chance to come back home and have a good crowd on Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock against USF. And let's get the people there, as many people as we can. And it'd be nice to have 3,000 or 4,000 there for sure. But anyway, all right. In fact, Axel said that the one last time, prayers to DeMar, number 3, obviously looks like Lisa Marie Presley was another cardiac death, not quite sudden.
Too much of that. There's also a very popular TikToker. I cannot think of his name right now. I've said it 1,000 times today. He was one of my favorite guys on TikTok. Had 1.7 million followers. He was a food content creator. Always ate crazy foods, like unique foods, like pickled things. And he's 33 years old and died of a heart attack last night. There's too much of that going around. Getting a little suspicious for my taste. All these sudden cardiac arrests and heart attacks. Getting a little suspicious for my taste. Don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but you know where that's going.
There's a rumor going out that was drug related for Lisa Marie, but
it might be drug related for a lot of people.
Yep. Hey, by the way, hey Matt, I recently had a pie with hot oil and stingers at the Colonial Grill in Virginia. Is that a good example of Connecticut pizza?
With hot oil and stingers. I'm sorry. At the Colonial Grill in Virginia. Well, I could just say this, Johnny. Like, Connecticut pizza is known for it's very thin. Like, you have the Chicago, which is really thick, Not a big fan of the Chicago style pizza. New York is kind of medium. Connecticut's very thin.
Well, New York is floppy.
New York is like I do like New York pizza, but Connecticut pizza is fantastic, man.
Thin and crispy.
What's that?
Thin and crispy.
Thin and crispy. Yep, thin and crispy.
That's my second favorite kind. I'm a big deep dish, thick crust fan, Chicago style. Then I would go thin and crispy. My least favorite would be that floppy New York style.
Yeah, if you guys, Johnny, if you're ever in Connecticut, hit me up. I'll take a place in New Haven. Well, there's several places in New Haven that are in the top 10 in the country. Pepe's. Pepe's is known to be kind of the best.
Hey, Kyle, we had Pepe's Pizza.
Pepe's, okay, yeah.
You remember Godfather's? They had good pizza.
Yeah, it used to be a good pizza place in Greenville. What the hell was it called? Oh my God, what was that pizza place called in Greenville, guys?
There was Villa Roma. Was one
I remember that one. Yeah,
that's not what I'm thinking of. Help me out, guys. Everybody in the chat. It was downtown.
Pizza Inn. I remember the Pizza Inn.
Oh, Pizza Inn's good, but that's a chain. Not Regazzi's.
Omar's.
No, they closed a few years ago.
Oh, Alfredo.
On the corner, Alfredo.
No, not Alfredo's. Come on, guys, somebody help me out. Boley's, Fifth Street Pizzeria. Yes.
Listen, there was nothing better after a night out in Greenville at 2 a.m. to hit up Alfredo's.
Yes, sir.
Grab a few slices for the walk home. That was the great.
Matt hung out at the Stop Shop. I know, but
Best pizza in Greenville now probably is a chain, but it's a good chain. Mellow Mushroom.
Mellow Mushroom is very good. What about Basil's? Basil's is very good. That's a local.
I haven't had it. Best pizza in Eastern North Carolina that I've had. Now, granted, I haven't had all the pizza in Eastern North Carolina, but up at the Outer Banks, there's a place called Slice.
Daryl's.
In Kill Devil Hills. That's fantastic.
What about Daryl's?
What about Daryl? Sandra Bullock used to work there.
Yep, she did.
Where's Daryl's?
It was there right across the street where the post office is on 10th Street, and now it's a parking lot. Basically, Hurricane Floyd, because it was a low-lying area, it pretty much flooded and wiped it out. And actually, that chain is making a comeback. I don't know if Kyle knew that or not, but it's a North Carolina chain. There's still one in Greensboro. Not to get off topic, but they're going to read an article. They're actually new investors in.
Okay. What about, to my knowledge, the only Hams left was in Greensboro also.
That's correct.
You remember when they were a popular chain? They made a mistake. Hams, we'll get off. We're going all over the place. Hams had a good concept. They did sandwiches. They did chips and sandwiches, and you know they had a good concept. And then the bar and grill became real popular. The casual Chili's type place around 2005. And they tried to change their format to that, and they should have just stuck with what they did, sandwiches and wraps, and it would have, and it came back. That philosophy came back, and Ham screwed up. They panicked.
Yeah, that was the original Wilkerson Funeral Home, by the way, guys. Where that location was in Greenville, downtown. It's right near the library, Shepherd Memorial Library. But Justin was asking about Garrett Riley to Clemson as offensive coordinator. How do you guys feel about that?
He's good. Clemson had to do something with their offense. It's an opportunity for Garrett to show what he can do on his own now. Obviously, coached under an offensive guru there at TCU, so Garrett gets a chance really to paint his own picture now, and be interesting to see the air raid at Clemson.
That's great because Clemson's defense is going to be, it's going to be good. The problem the last couple of years has been offense. Garrett Riley is a tremendous mind, like his brother, older brother. So I think it's a great move for them. And, hey, Clemson's tired of they haven't been in the big dance in the last couple of years. Hard to believe to talk about that. But not that Dabo is not a great coach, but, other teams are starting to catch up with them.
Yeah, they still won the ACC.
They did. But as far as Clemson, that's what's going to make the 12-team. Speaking of the 12-team playoff, they should have been in the playoff, no question about it. Not with the current format. I'm just talking about. I've always thought the conference champions should be in the playoff, but that's a whole nother show, as they say. But anyway, you guys, I know we're way long, but a lot of fun tonight. I appreciate you guys very much. Kyle, how are you feeling, man? Before we go, I wanted to. We think about you a lot, and I know you've been.
It's a chemo week, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday always sucks on the chemo week. I start feeling a little better on Thursdays. a little bit more better on Friday, a little bit more better on Saturday, and then by the beginning of the following week, I'm getting back to normal. I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm about a 6 tonight. I was probably about a 5 last night, about a 3 Tuesday night, and so it Tuesday and Wednesday is the worst days, and it tends to start improving on Thursday. But a lot of fatigue, a lot of nausea. I was able to eat normal food today, so that was good. So it's always good when you can eat normal food.
Are you going to do one more round, Kyle?
I'm on round 7. I'm either going to go. I'm going somewhere between 8 and 12. I could stop at 6. My oncologist would have me stopping at 6, but I wanted to keep going. I want to hopefully make sure this stuff doesn't come back. So I'm either going to go to 10, anywhere between 8 and 12. So I did round 7 this time. Round 8 will be next time. So anywhere between 8 and 12, and I can't do past 12. 12 is the cutoff.
So it's like a 12-round fight, if you will.
If I want to go all 12, I don't have to. She was totally comfortable with me stopping at 6, she being my oncologist. But I want to keep going for now. And supposedly it only increases my chances of reoccurrence by a few minute points, but they're worth it to me.
Yeah, I mean, you're a real champion. You've been fighting really hard. We're really proud of you. We're always, praying really hard for you. And
the side effects there's other weird side effects, and I don't know if people want to hear about it, but I get cold sensitive. I can't drink anything cold. I have to drink room temperature. My hands will tingle, my feet will tingle. I get neuropathy. It's weird stuff. The cold sensitivity is really inconvenient because you'd be surprised when you go out to eat, telling people you don't want ice. All right, I want tea, no ice, and then they'll still bring the tea out cold. Or you go in a convenience store and you're like, hey, do you have any Cokes that aren't in the cooler? It's weird things you have to do that you don't think of. That and you'd be surprised. Like some places are like, no, everything's in the cooler, and other times they got a nice selection, but it's stuff you don't think of that you have to deal with.
Yeah,
I was an exchange student in 1990 in Germany, and it's weird because they have things room temperature. And I had to learn how to drink stuff like
you know what? And soda's weird. Some sodas, Coke, for example, is delicious room temperature once you get used to it. Yeah. Where it's like a Diet Sundrop. I'm sitting here drinking a Diet Sundrop room temperature, and it's not very good.
There you go. All right, guys. Well, do you have anything big plans for the weekend, and then we'll get out of here? Kyle, what you up to, man?
Nothing planned. Just going to take it easy this weekend and relax.
All right, Matt. What about you?
Yeah, I'm coaching a basketball game on Sunday, and Giants in the playoffs, 4:00. Kind of looking forward to that a little bit. So.
Yeah, there's 2 things I'm doing this weekend. We'll be 3 actually. We're watching. My 2 kids are playing Saturday. Alex Mackenzie has a game at 9 Saturday morning. Alex at 11. So the basketball season, as far as games, start on Saturday. The NFL playoffs. Obviously, our East Carolina Pirates, men and women. And basketball, hopefully we can get wins there. And then Monday night would be great to see Tom Brady beat the Cowboys. So sorry for my Cowboy friends out there. I love you, but there's just one team I can't pull for.
Anybody but the Cowboys.
Yeah. Sorry, I love you guys, but that's just the one team I just can't do it. And it's really, I'm selling my soul to pull for Tom Brady. But anyway, Matt, thank you, man, so much for coming on tonight.
All right, brother.
Appreciate you very much.
Good time, man. Thank you.
We had a good time. We'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you very much. And as always, go Pirates.
Heart is purple and gold. I'm a pirate down to my soul. And I don't back down, not at all. Find out when the cannons explode. From the sidelines down to the post. Put it down like not even close. All out to the last whistle blow. For the flag with the soul and crossbones. Everybody stand up, get your hands up. Let the team know that we got they back. This is our house, this is our town, our time. Everyone, I copy that. Everybody in the stands go bananas. Scream loud, baby, don't hold back. Every foot, every yard, every first down, every touchdown with the cannons blast. Get it on, get it all, get the wave going like a hurricane, y'all.